Hi guys, welcome back to We Should Talk, a pop culture interview series from In the Know. I'm your host Gibson Johns, and this week on the podcast we have the one and only Kenya Moore from The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Warning that this interview is a little choppy because I called in from a family vacation and the Wi-Fi at our rental house is not great. So the Wi-Fi cut out a little bit, so we had to stop and start. So if it's a little bit jumpy, that is why, and the ending might be a little bit abrupt, but I still got some great time with Kenya, and it was my first time interviewing her, and she is just such a legend, and she's in such a good place right now. You know, we talked a lot about how her time on Dancing with the Stars and Ultimate Girls Trip kind of revitalized her spirit when it came to her life in general, but also being on reality TV, and I think it's reflected in this season of Real House of Atlanta, which I love. I think it has a really great vibe about it. We also got into her and Marlo's stuff. We got into her friendship with Kandi, Sonya being added to the cast, and some other stuff too. But she just seems to be in such a great place, and I just loved talking to her, and I really appreciated her patience, again, with my bad Wi-Fi. So anyway, keep listening for my interview with Kenya Moore from The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Tune into the show Sundays at 8 p.m. on Bravo, and please rate, review, and subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so we're here with Kenya Moore from The Real Housewives of Atlanta. She is Gone with the Wind fabulous. She is Kenya Moore, hair care, get the marching band out. I'm so happy to have you here, Kenya. How are you?
I'm really well. It's a beautiful day. I'm feeling good. So it's great. It's a great
day. Good. So Kenya, I mean, I'm curious because I'm really loving the season of Atlanta. The overall vibe of it all. The overall vibe just there's something about it that feels kind of renewed. I know there was a big cast shakeup and whatever, but there's something about it just feels really good to me. And I'm curious, as somebody who's been around on the show for a while, you know what makes a good and bad season. So I'm curious, where is your mind at right now when it comes to this season as it compares to others?
Well, I think this season, the girls are really revealing a lot of themselves. They're being very honest, open, and direct. We're not letting a lot of things fall to the wayside. We're really addressing things head on, and I think that's what makes a really great season. And I think it's well produced. You know, I think the did a really great job at keeping track of things that were said and things that were not, addressed, and just making sure that we hold each other accountable for everything that was happening, being said, and being done behind our backs. I'm still watching the episodes what? That happened? They said that, they did this, and then, the other aspect is seeing what people say when they get on, Watch What Happens Live or
Totally.
The after show. So it's all a bag of surprises, really. A bag of nuts.
Which is honestly, probably as somebody in it, I know that probably gives you maybe a little anxiety, but also it makes it, it keeps you on your toes a little bit. And I think that, again, I feel like as somebody who's been on the show for a while, it's probably a good feeling to still feel like you have to maneuver a bit and have your kind of guard up,
I don't think I've ever done a season where I didn't feel like that. I think that in previous seasons, I always felt like everyone was gunning for me, that they never gave me a chance. I was like someone that everyone always goes after. And I don't feel that in this season, which is really refreshing.
Other than maybe one person.
A big target on my back from everyone. It's just one person.
Right. Totally.
And so it feels better, and I think it's one of my best seasons, ever, just because I am in a different place. And so that's what I'm bringing to the show this season. It just feels different, specifically for me.
Yeah, I was going to bring this up later, Kenya, but it's sort of on topic, which is I really feel like, and I kind of sense this from a lot of fans, but definitely for me, which was, I feel like your time on the Girls Trip show really did wonders for you. I don't know if it was just you being put in a different environment and not having to play a certain role or whatever. I just feel like it really opened you up in a new way. And I think that is kind of reflected in this season a little bit. At least that's my takeaway a little bit.
Yeah, I think that was the beginning of it for sure. And I think it renewed me because you know, when you are shown to be, you know, a quote unquote villain for so many years
Yeah.
in a particular environment, and then you take me out of that and put me in a brand new group of girls to start over to see how I interact with other people. And I think you start to really see the truth. It's not just me. Clearly, it was a mixture of other things happening on our show. And it does, I think it was the beginning because it made me feel renewed, like,
Yeah.
hey, and it just did things for my self-esteem, honestly, too, because it wears on you for people to like constantly trash you or drag you or make you feel or try to make others feel like you're this person that you're not, and then to be shown in a different light, more authentic to who I am, felt a lot better. And I think also when I did Dancing with the Stars, it was a completely different
Yes.
environment. I got to live in the happiest place in the world for me, which is on a dance floor.
Yeah.
And just to be kind of like, just, it was just so much in my element. And I think that by watching me there and on Dance with the Stars, Ultimate Girls Trip, and then um, coming into season 14 of Real Housewives of Atlanta, I think I was just completely renewed. I just felt like, okay, now I can get my groove back now. This is who I've always meant to be on the show.
Definitely, definitely. And I also feel like the cast reshuffle in some ways, like, I mean, you've always been a pillar of this show, but in some ways, like, I mean, we lost a couple of stalwarts from Atlanta in between
Yeah.
this season and last season. And I think that you've really embraced kind of that role even more so than you did before. And I think it's really working for you. And it makes me happy to see you so happy and engaged in this show. And I don't know, it's just been really fun.
Yeah, it's been so much fun, and thank you for that. Like, it has been one of my best seasons that I can remember. I don't even know if I've had a season where I came out of it feeling this good,
Mm-hmm.
and feeling like this is like one of the best times in my life. And it's not because I'm still going through a divorce, so it's not that, but I feel like I am stronger than probably I've ever been in the situations that I'm being put in.
I love that.
And yeah, and I feel like the girls really respect my voice, seeing that I am a different person, and I really do. I am about the group. I am about the fact that we're in an ensemble and not just one person or one star or 3 stars or 6 stars. We're an ensemble. We work best when we work best together.
All right, so Kenya, I feel like also going into the season, I felt like you guys were all sort of in it together as a group to make sure this season was extra a success. Like you did that extra photo shoot. I feel like the way you guys were talking about it and promoting it felt like you were all kind of in it together, even if you didn't see eye to eye like on the individual issues within the season. It felt like there was this extra air of like, let's make Atlanta, like let's make this show like have a refresh start and whatever. Is that an accurate kind of perception of what was going on, and has that been maintained, sort of the group think of making it, of promoting it all together and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's funny because, you know, the whole group photo shoot was my idea. I have to take the credit for
Love
that. I'm
it.
sorry.
Take it. Hey, the facts are facts.
But I think being on the show for so long and wanting to have this like fresh start
Yeah.
for the season, we wanted to figure out, okay, what haven't. And so when we talked about like doing a social media shoot, which is what it was for, I know it took on a whole other life of us,
Yeah.
trying to portray us as like, not loving our group shot, which it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was basically a social media shoot, which is why you saw all the TikToks and all of the, additional like,
Yeah,
promotions.
totally.
It's because it was strictly like a social media shoot. And it was like, this is all for us. This is our show. We have to show the fans that we're in it. We're in it. We love this show. We love this franchise. And the season 14 was like no other season. And so I think that when we came together, it was definitely very cohesive. and everyone wanted one thing, and that's for our show to be a success, and for the fans to really love the energy that we were bringing to the show. We were bringing big energy, and I think
Yeah,
that hopefully the fans understood that. Like, we
they
understood the
did.
assignment.
I really think that they did. And so, I mean, again, I've been loving this season. I feel like the biggest thing right now for you within the group is you and Marlo. Again, it's sad because I really do love you guys together, and when it's not as contentious, but I understand why it is, at least from your end. And I just want to get some of the quotes that you've said about it, because you said that she isn't sincere, she doesn't know how to be a friend, that you don't hate her, you just dislike some of the things she does. And I'm curious if, I feel like those are things that you probably already at some point have thought about Marlo, or thought at some point through over the years, but you gave her this new chance, and then she just sort of dropped the ball again. Yeah. Is that accurate? Like you just kind of want it, and was that the last chance you're really going to give her?
It was the last chance, but it didn't stop there. I think that some other things in the season happened, and she kind of came after my family. And it was like a boundary that I was like, you know what, the things that were said, you can't come back from that. And that's the thing about low blows. You can't just apologize them away. Once you hit someone purposely to try to destroy them or hurt them or really tear them down, and you just, again, I can't say it
any other way
enough.
Yeah.
Can't come back from that. And so, yes, it's a never for me. And I think the thing is, I have learned in my life, when there are people that I care about, or my friends, I'm really a pushover to a degree, because I forgive so easily. And I have to stop doing that, because I would give people too many chances. And I think I've done that in my marriage. I did that with some other people in my life, employees, all kind of things, because I really do want people to win. And I just felt badly in the past when I've done that, because it's like, when people show you who they are, you have to really believe them. And I was shown who she was very early on, and anyone else that I've like pretty much erased out of my life. But I ignored it. And so I can't blame the crazy person, because the crazy person is me, because I keep doing the same thing and keep forgiving
different results, right?
And thinking that I'm going to get a different result. So I can't blame them. That's my fault. My fault is I didn't cut them off early enough. And so now I'm paying for it.
Yeah. And generally speaking, I'm curious, again, because you're such a pro here, when does something go from, okay, this is good drama for the show, let me engage with this and go do the back and forth, read each other, whatever. When does it go from that to, okay, I'm not engaging in this is crossing a line, this is XYZ? Is it when it gets to the family stuff, or is it a case-by-case basis with you? How do you think about that line being crossed, just in general?
I think collectively we all agree that children are always off limits. Like, we don't go after people's kids. And that's a legacy that we've already established, and boundaries that we've established. And I think you have to be a pretty vile human being to go after someone's child or children. And for me, it's not about what's good for the show, because if you're thinking about what's good for the show, then you're creating scenes and you're manufacturing drama. You have to think it's spontaneous. We don't have a script. We don't know what's coming. And everything you do has to be authentic. When it becomes inauthentic is when you're acting,
right,
and you're making decisions based on a TV show versus based on what's really happening. And that is what makes you a bad housewife. When you start to do that, you need to get off the show.
Would you say that being inauthentic and trying to create moments, is that the number one thing that, like, a housewife that doesn't last? Is that what you've observed?
Absolutely. And I think I think the fans, if you look at the comments of the fans can clearly see manufacturing, who's drumming, who's picking fights just to be picking fights, or thinking they're making good TV. But that's what gets you your peach taken away, or your diamond taken away, or your apples taken away. The fastest is when you start to produce yourself, and you start to be fake for the sake of thinking you're making good TV.
A new housewife this season is Sonya, and it seems like you guys have a moment in Jamaica. And is that is that a one-off thing, or is that a reflection of what's to come for you two?
Wouldn't you like to know?
But it seems like you guys have a good connection. Like you have a lot of one-on-one moments, like where she comes over and you have conversations, but she's also really good friends with Marlo and the stray side of things. So I feel like maybe she's caught in the middle there a little bit.
I feel like she is caught in the middle, but she doesn't always stand firmly in her boundaries. And if she sets a limit or boundary for one person, it needs to be for all people. And she doesn't stay true to her own beliefs.
Got it.
So that's the problem that I have with Sonya in the for the rest of the season. I like her very much as a person. I don't think she's very problematic, but I think that in the mix of these girls, she's attached herself to the wrong train. And unfortunately, that train runs amok. And so what happens to Sonya? She's being dragged along with that rogue train.
Right. And also in this past episode, Kenya, one of my favorite scenes was the one between you and Kandi. You both had your daughters together. You were talking about, she was asking you about your business and giving you some advice and what have you, talking about some other things too. But it really just spoke to me about how special your friendship has been over the years and how it's evolved too. I mean, it's right now it's in a really strong, special place, I feel like, and you're really, really close. Can you just speak to that a little bit and the evolution of that? Because it's fun to watch.
It's so fun to be in scenes with her. It's so fun to have our daughters. Like our daughters were both born out of, IVF. That's one thing that is like something that we share, as a bond between us. We kind of like, I have so many similarities with Kandi that it's kind of scary, but we kind of both peaked or became really known in the 90s. We sustained our careers in entertainment. We pivoted, we've done this, and now we're both on the same platform on this show. I feel like I really respect her. I feel like she has so much talent. But what I love most about her is that she is probably the most genuine person that I know. And she doesn't ever come after anyone. She doesn't have a bad bone in her body. And so I really just love her genuinely as a person.
Yeah.
And I feel like she's a sister to me. Whenever I've needed her, she's always been there. But what I love the most is like the hardest times I remember having on this show, especially after her best friend, her former best friend left the show.
Yeah.
I think that she had my back in some really crucial moments when it was just so easy to be against me, and people were like, it didn't matter what was right or what was wrong. She was against me. Now, I'm not saying that she's always been, on the right side or on my side. I'm not saying that, because friends don't always just take your side.
100%.
Blind. And so you got to respect her for that. Even in upcoming scenes, I felt like she threw me under the bus a little bit, and that annoyed me. But when it matters and when my feelings matter, she is there for me. When all this stuff is said and done, I think Kandi and I will always be friends. We'll always have Brooklyn and Blaze as, sisters. I hope they grow up together, because we do have that really special bond. I just really respect Kandi. I really do.
I saw this really great little tweet that was Blaze and Brooklyn sharing the popcorn, and it was like they wrote the future of Real Housewives of Atlanta, and it was just like
that was a really good one.
like, could you imagine? It's just
that was a really good one, but no, I'm not going to allow her to do reality TV.
I don't blame you.
I want her to save the world.
There we go. I think you're saving the world in your own way, Kenya. So
in my own way, right? I love it.
To finish off, I wanted to ask about a couple little tidbits from different interviews over the past couple weeks. You said, and I loved this, you said in a recent interview that Giselle is the you of Potomac. And I actually had never made that connection before, but when I thought about it, I was like, that's actually pretty accurate. I would love, could you just expand on that for just a little bit? Like, how do you see that sort of parallel?
Oh God, how do I explain it? I think Giselle, she is that person that you a lot of viewers love to hate. And it's not by any fault of her own. It's because she is, she's a beautiful woman. She's stunning. She's smart. She's articulate, and she speaks her truth, and she speaks her mind. And that can be very intimidating to a lot of people. And she is a pot stirrer at times. She calls people to task, but she calls them to be accountable for the things that they say and that they do. And I feel that I'm the same way on my show.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes I'm the only person that has done that, especially last season, where I'm the only person that speaks up. I'm the only person that calls things out, and I didn't have any backup. And I feel like sometimes that's the position that Giselle is in too.
Yep, that's so well said. And it was such a good parallel, and I just had never thought about that before. It kind of blew my mind. You tweeted recently that I think it was probably when Eva was on Watch What Happens Live, that they should bring her back to Atlanta. Do you think they should bring her back, give her a peach back?
Oh, 100,000%. Absolutely. I don't think she'll take it.
Oh, you don't?
No, because she's on this great TV show that she's starring in. She's in love with her husband so much. They're, out of drama, out of scrutiny. And I think that's a great position to be in. You don't have to subject your family to sometimes, cruelty.
All right. So unfortunately, that is the end of the interview. Again, my Wi-Fi cut out, and I didn't get to ask Kenya everything I wanted to ask her. But that's just how the cookie crumbles, you guys. And that's what I get, I guess, for calling in from vacation. But again, just really happy to get some time with Kenya, and I really appreciate her patience and her grace in this unfortunate situation. But again, I really hope you enjoyed that. And again, I think she had some really great answers to some of my questions, and I wanted to ask her more, but I just couldn't. And anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to We Should Talk. I hope you enjoyed the interview. You can find out more about In The Know at intheknow.com. You can follow me, Gibson Johns, at Gibsonoma on Twitter and Instagram. And you can listen to all of our interviews, past and future, by searching We Should Talk wherever you get your podcasts. Hope to see you next time.